What's happening? I wanted to say some things quickly about Hurricane Helene and the damage that it just dropped on, of course, here in my home state of Florida, but in the Panhandle up north, but certainly Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. There are reports of over 110 people that have died as a result of Helene. This was a massive storm. If you looked at the map when it was headed up from Florida up that way, I mean, when it was still, not even before it made landfall, it was still stirring in the Gulf, and that thing was huge. If you compared it to the size of the state of South Carolina, it was huge. It was monstrous. So we ask ourselves today, President Trump is on his way to tour some of the damaged areas today in Georgia, and I believe possibly North Carolina or South Carolina. I don't know exactly where he's going, but I've heard that 3 different times this morning. I've heard that he's on his way to tour some of these areas today. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is headed back to Washington, D.C. to be briefed, but she's not going to these areas. The media, I mean, if you don't listen to Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, and Megyn Kelly, you're not getting the news. You're just not. The media, the lamestream media, as it's referred to, I mean, ABC, CBS, CNN, NBC, these outlets are not telling you the news. Fox tells you the news somewhat. They do a pretty good job. Newsmax certainly does a good job. But you know, you have the percentage of people in this country say, oh, those are conservative outlets. Well, yeah, okay, so the opinion shows on those channels trend mostly conservative, but Fox, when they give you the news, they give you the news. When you watch an opinion show like Hannity or Levin, I forget Levin's show name on there, but I mean, those are clearly opinion shows, and they tell you, Water's World, things like that. But when you watch the news on those channels, they give you the news. Newsmax certainly does a great job. Anyway, my point is, you cannot watch ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, and know what's happening, because they're not reporting it. They're reporting a very skewed version of what's actually happening in this world, and in this country especially. There are very, very large amounts of people in North Carolina, South Carolina, and parts of apparently northeast Georgia, and even Atlanta had some damage, that there are people hurting, and there are people with total loss in these areas. They lost everything. They have nothing left, okay? It's not happening on the news. It's not being covered, I should say, because the media is dishonest. I don't care if you think I'm nuts. I don't care if you think I'm a right-wing conservative. I don't really care what you think of me, but I'm telling you straight, if you're not listening to some different sources of news, Glenn Beck tells you what's happening every morning, whether you want to dismiss him as being right-wing or not. And by the way, stop calling us MAGAs. MAGA means it's an abbreviation for Make America Great Again, okay? If you're calling me a MAGA, that means you are calling me a person that wants to make America great again. We are not great. This country is far from great right now, thanks to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris owns everything Joe Biden did as president. It's one administration. I don't care if she's vice president. Had somebody say, well, you know, the vice president is weak and they have no power. No, wrong. She is every bit as responsible for the policies coming out of that administration as Joe Biden was and is. Joe Biden is probably less responsible at most points than she is, because, let's face it, he doesn't know which ice cream shop he's in. When he's on the beach, he probably thinks he's in the ice cream shop, or he thinks he's in the Oval Office, or he thinks he's in some other office. I don't know. The guy is out to lunch. I mean, he's been out to lunch. He was out to lunch before he was elected, but he's more out to lunch now than ever. The bottom line is, I urge you, Glenn Beck is on every morning between 9 and 12 p.m. on a large network of radio stations in the United States, both AM and FM. He's also on Sirius XM 111 Triumph. Megyn Kelly comes on Sirius XM 111 Triumph from 12 to 2. From 3 to 6 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. You can hear Hannity on Sirius XM 125, as well as many AM and FM stations across the country. I'm sure you can listen online from anywhere to these shows as well. They all have live streams as well as the stations they're on. Mark Levin from 6 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. He's on Sirius XM 125. He's also on a vast array of radio stations, both AM and FM. You can go to marklevinshow.com to find out what station he's on in your area. If you have Sirius XM, get 125. If you don't have it, call them and upgrade your subscription to get it. Glenn Beck, I think it's glennbeck.com. Certainly theblaze.com is his service too. That's another great news service. My point in saying all this is I'm trying to encourage you, if you're one of these, what Rush Limbaugh called low information, no information voters, that is the people that go to work and they come home and they sit and they get their news, if at all, from the networks between 6 and 6:30 p.m. every night. You don't know what's going on. You are not being told the truth. The media is lying to you, okay? You need to pay attention to some other sources. Glenn Beck, Megyn Kelly is certainly great. Sean Hannity is great. Sean Hannity also has a show on Fox from 9 to 10 every night, and he dives into some issues and gets to talk to some people. But I prefer his radio show over his TV show because I'm in the car most days and I can listen. I'm at work. Sometimes I do listen to his TV show on Sirius XM because Fox TV has a channel on there where it's simulcast. You get my point. Mark Levin is a constitutional attorney. He served in the Reagan administration. I mean, the guy is brilliant. Rush Limbaugh used to refer to him as F. Lee Levin, sort of a play on F. Lee Bailey, the O.J. Simpson attorney from back in the 90s. If you're old enough to remember it, I'll conclude with this. Please, now is the time to know Kamala Harris is dishonest. She doesn't care about real Americans. Donald Trump, he cares. And if you don't know this, it's because the media is lying to you about who Donald Trump is. Please start listening to these shows. Glenn Beck 9 to 12 on the radio, 12 to 2. Megyn is great. She deep dives into the news every day, interviews great newsmakers. Sometimes she's interviewing people that are more on the left that I don't necessarily care for, but I give her credit. She's very unbiased in that regard. She'll tell you what she thinks, but she gives other people an opportunity to speak. Hannity is great. I mean, he's very conservative, yet he will give everyone from the left an opportunity to come on his show and speak. He has never been short of allowing the other side to have a say, even on his show. Mark Levin is great because he breaks things down that the Supreme Court does and explains to you why the Constitution matters and why they're doing things a certain way. Please make a plan and listen to these shows. Thank you. We love America. We want to save this country. And voting for Kamala Harris is not the way to do that. We need to re-elect Donald Trump because we need to save this country. Now, I'm telling you, if Kamala Harris were to become president, it's going to get a lot worse than it is now. The economy will be gone. The dollar will be gone. Your freedoms will be gone. I promise you this is true. I'm not just guessing. I'm not just talking from my ass. I am talking from knowledge, and I do a lot of research every day, and I listen to a lot of different people talk, and I read things, and I know things. I've been paying attention to this stuff since I was a teenager, and I guarantee you I know what I'm talking about. As Deputy Frank Sloop from Pinell County says every day on his show, I am talking to you from a mountain of right. The media is in a valley of wrong.